I wanted to be the first person to climb Half Dome and El Capitan in 24 hours, in a day as we call it, solo, by myself. As you come into Yosemite Valley, the two large granite formations you see are Half Dome and El Cap. I was going to climb the regular northwest route on Half Dome first and the nose route on El Capitan. The route on Half Dome is 2,100 feet high. It starts off on some rather moderate terrain. In the middle, you hit these very physically demanding chimneys that are very wide. At the end of the route, the cracks get quite thin and is the most difficult climbing before you reach the summit. The route I took up El Capitan is 3,000 feet tall. It follows the most direct line up the rock face. This is the most famous big wall in the world due to its spectacular exposure, the challenging climbing it offers, and the quality of granite rock. The day before I started, I fueled up with all the best food, carbohydrates, proteins, the works. Got my power bars, power gels, bananas, and snack food all ready, put my climbing gear in a pack, and got set for the next morning. I woke up at 2 a.m. to find a full moon, grabbed my already organized rack, and headed out to the truck. Hopped in the cab and drove down to Yosemite Valley.
Okay, Hans, how you feeling?
Great. Bigger than the rock, man. Bigger than the rock. When we got out of the truck, it was still dark. We threw on our backpacks, put on our headlamps, and started hiking up to Half Dome.
Tom, zoom in.
12 minutes to 3.
12 minutes to 3.
When we arrived at the base, it was 5:15 a.m. Still too dark to climb, we recovered from the hike by watching the moon set over the horizon. As the dawn light hit us, I put on my climbing gear and started up the route. I was really excited. This was the moment that I had been planning and training for all the months prior. The first couple pitches are of moderate difficulty, but are really beautiful with side-by-side finger cracks and chimneys that offer some of the best granite climbing on the rock.
I won't shut down. No, I won't shut down. I won't shut down. No, I won't shut down. Stuck in another one of those traffic jams.
Although this is a really popular route, I only ran into one other party. At the fourth pitch, I ran into 2 Germans that were climbing the route in a day. Since I had 24 hours of climbing ahead of me, it didn't really bother me that they might slow me down 5 or 10 minutes. So I waited until they were at a good ledge.
I won't shut down. No, I won't shut down. I won't shut down. The seas wake up, bury my underground. The bills pile up, man, shatter dreams down. How am I supposed to look up when my head is hanging down? Just hanging down.
The hardest pitches on this route are the zigzag cracks. When I arrived here, I led normally with the rope, rappelled back down, and then jugged up the lines. After doing these 2 pitches of difficult crack, you arrive on top of Thank God Ledge, a very thin flake separated from the wall. I looked at my watch and I was within easy striking distance of the record, so I started pulling up the rope rather wily, walked across this ledge and crawled in the thinnest part.
Just hanging down.
At this point, I'd thread my rope through a beaner, climb 30 or 40 feet, and then pull the rope, not having to retrace my steps. The last part of the route, I just soloed on through, not clipping the rope into pieces. A lot of people ask me if I get scared up there when I climb solo without the rope. And I never really got scared to stay because I always had the rope. Whenever the climbing was hard or difficult, I would just simply put in a few pieces of gear and be protected through that section.
We live in a time of massive denial, a constant philosophy of we're only here for a while. What? We're only here for a while? Well, the seas wake up, bury 'em underground, the bills pile up, man, shatter dreams down. How am I supposed to look up when my head is hanging down, just hanging down?
When I got to the summit blocks, I was super energized. Didn't feel tired one bit. And when I looked at my watch, I was stunned to see I'd gotten a record. Record. After a brief visit on the summit, I ran down the cables on the backside past the tourists. Then we hopped on the climber's trail and headed back to the car and drove down to El Cap Meadows. Well, next up was arriving in El Cap Meadow. Wasn't quite as excited there as I was on top of Half Dome. The down hike took a little bit out of me, and looking up at that 3,000 feet of granite was a little imposing. Here you're seeing I'm placing the first piece on the first pitch of the route, and it's just kind of automaton here. You got to go up every pitch, rappel it, grab your pack and jug back up. So it's sand dune type stuff. 2 times up, 1 time down. By the time I got to the stove legs, the terrain gets a little easier, so I kind of just shuttled the number 4 Camelot along and didn't have to go up twice and down once. When I arrived up on Dolt Tower, the terrain's pretty easy from there to El Cap Tower, so I kind of soloed bits and pieces here and shuttled along a big cam in the wider parts, made my way around to the back of the Texas Flake. When you arrive on top of the Texas Flake, it's a wild place. You've just soloed up 30 feet of 3-foot wide chimney. You're on top of this precarious flake, and then you have to hop onto a bolt ladder that you slowly creep up until you're at the base of the boot flake. Arriving there, you're at one of the most spectacular 510 hand cracks in the world. Imagine 1,500 feet off the deck, you're doing beautiful hand crack climbing. When you arrive on top of the boot flake, you're set up for one of the wildest pitches on the route, if not all of El Cap. This is the king swing. You pendulum 100 feet to the cracks on the left. After you do the king swing off boot flake, you run through the gray band and up to Camp 4 and the Great Roof, which is normally about the halfway point. And I got through both of those before darkness fell on me. Then it was donning the headlamp and just cranking out the pitches in the dark. It was kind of comforting from here up because it was all traditional solo climbing. I just stayed roped up, led each pitch, rappelled it, and then jugged back up. Camp 5, I went past my friend Justin, and at Camp 6, I ran into Mark Wellman, who was encouraging, kept me awake, told me stories and stuff so I didn't sleep on the ledge, and I just kept working on through past him. He wished me well. It's now like midnight, and I've been going 3 or 4 hours in the dark. Around 1 a.m., I hear Allard and Abby on top yelling down at me, and I start yelling back up at him, and that gave me a boost of energy, just knowing they were up there waiting for me. You can see here I'm just hammered arriving at the top anchor, and they're letting me know that I'm all finished, and I'm like, no, I still gotta wrap down once more and jug back up with my pack. It was pretty nice. That's probably one of the most memorable times ever, topping out an El Cap.
You want some food?
I'm sure we could,
I've got some food in my pack.
I won't shut down. No, I won't shut down. I won't shut down.
Record.
The seas wake up, bury my underground. The bills pile up, man, shatter dreams down. How am I supposed to look up when my head is hanging down? Just hanging down. I won't shut down. No, I won't shut down. I won't shut down. The seas wake up, bury my underground. The bills pile up, man, shatter dreams down. How am I supposed to look up when my head is hanging down?